Welcome back to another episode of the Ali Family Podcast. If you're new and you appreciate Black excellence, Black love, and Black culture, you're in the right place. Go ahead and subscribe. And also hit that notification button while you're at it. We are the Ali Family. We're married millennials living in Boston. In this episode, will get us talking about some current events, along with some evergreen topics, and one of my favorite segments, what we are streaming.
It's Women's History Month.
Shout out to all of the Black women. How are you feeling? You're a woman, you're making history, but you also are standing on the shoulders of other women. Also recently, International Women's Day as well, so shout out to all of the women across the world. It's all Women's Histories Month, but we're celebrating Black excellence, Black culture. So we're shouting out all of the Black women.
Thank you for framing all that, centering Black women in celebration of Women's History Month. All these different Black women in history and who are still among the living and doing great things. As a Black woman, I feel great. The Black women that came before me and the others that are here right now, so many of them and so many of us are doing great things. There's a famous quote, I don't have it verbatim, but it's something along the lines of like being happy or something as revolutionary. A Black woman who's joyful, who is living in her femininity is a beautiful thing and it's a sign of success. So that's how I feel right now. I feel good to be a woman and I feel good to be a Black woman. I mean, we just ended Black History Month. I'm still sort of on a high from that. So it's nice that now there's another month that celebrates some aspect of my identity.
I love it. Since it is specifically here for this month to bring more awareness and more of a highlight to Black women and women all across the world. But like we said, we're talking about Black women, so to Black women, much respect to all of the women that came before us. Women that are here presently creating all types of dope history every day. So we're definitely here for that. It's pretty interesting how all of the history months and awareness months happen. So, we're coming off of some really serious months. Black history is very serious. Women's History Month is very serious, but looking at some of the other awarenesses within March.
Asset Management Awareness Month, Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, Endometriosis Awareness Month, Irish American Heritage Month, Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month, Athletic Training, Brain Injury, Breast Implant, Caffeine Awareness, Celery, Cerebral Palsy, Cheerleading Safety, Craft, Colorectal Cancer, Credit Education, Flour, Frozen Food, Kidney, Noodle, Nutrition, Peanut, Sauce, Trisomy, Umbrella, and Social Work Month.
Okay. Yeah, shout out to all of the above. What were some that you were found like you never would have thought it would have been a month? And then what are some that you're actually happy that it is a month?
So yeah, National Celery Month. I didn't know like foods, it's Peanut Month also. And then some of the more serious ones like MS, multiple sclerosis, and some of the other health issues don't get a lot of play in the month of March. I don't really hear about them, but they definitely need awareness, those issues, as well.
And two for me that are really close to what I talk a lot about and listen a lot to is National Credit Education Month and also Asset Management Awareness Month. I will do my best to spread more awareness around asset management and also credit education, because those are very important topics when we talk about generational wealth within our community. Very cool list. I do want to run it back really quick to Women's History Month. If you could choose 3 women in history that have inspired you directly or indirectly, who would you choose?
Ooh, I wasn't prepared for this question, but I love it. I guess off the bat, Michelle Obama.
Hey, she's on my list.
Right. Lauryn Hill, I love her.
Okay.
She's my favorite. I want to say Eve as in Adam and Eve. How about you?
As a man, I can also acknowledge women who have done great things. So I also will say Michelle Obama. Madam C.J. Walker, she was the first millionaire. Removing family out of this. So if I was including family,
Oh, thank you.
my mother, and my grandmother.
Yeah, I always
But
said my mother too.
removing family and just going more historical figures, I'll say Harriet Tubman. She definitely did a lot for our people here presently. And this is from a perspective of what women have done in our time while we've been in America. Now, if we wanted to go pre America back to our ancestors, then I would be a whole other list. You do really have to acknowledge all of the women that were next to men who are celebrated. I do strongly believe in that saying that next to every successful man, you have a woman that's there that's largely part of that success, whether it was for inspiration, being a helpmate, taking care of parts of the family and life that he didn't have to do so that he could focus on those things. Collectively, all of the women that were next to a lot of the great men that we celebrate in America as well.
That was beautiful, by the way. Very nicely said and put together.
It's from the heart.
I can feel it.
But just to take it back, if you're living pretty much anywhere right now, I know you're seeing the effects of the prices of things increasing, inflation is real, prices of gas is real. Just paid $4.49 for gas, and that's probably low compared to where some people are at. I've heard some people are paying up to $8. Yesterday's price is not today's price. So with that said, it made me think, with the prices going up, what are some things that we're stocking up on right now? Whether it's for the thought that the prices might continue to raise, or whether it's for the thought that there may be a shortage coming just based on impending things that might be happening globally. Wars happening right now, uncertainty within job markets and the economy. So with that being said, what are some of the things that you find yourselves wanting to stock up on right now?
Mine always goes back to 2020. Toilet paper was low. I know there's someone somewhere with a whole bedroom full of toilet paper from 2020.
Absolutely. I remember it was real.
Mhm.
Just to take it back to 2020 real quick, it was really real. I didn't think I ever thought about toilet paper until March of 2020. And then it was just the reality of going store to store to store to store and like, where did it go?
Mhm.
So yeah, toilet paper, that's for sure. I know that's on a lot of people's list right now. Batteries. I know I've checked our flashlights to make sure that we're good there. The little one, you always gotta have batteries for something. Water is always something that you can have in the clutch. I want to have my favorite snacks in the clutch. So I want to have more pistachios, more Triscuits, more things like that, just stocked up so that if for whatever reason they're gone or the price goes up, I can at least have them where I want them. What about you? What are some things?
First of all, those are very admirable snacks. For those to be the first two that you list, very good.
Healthy, health as well.
Yes. But in addition to all those sort of things going on, I've also heard that the truckers in Canada have been, either they are or they recently were on strike. So a lot of the things that get shipped back and forth over the border have slowed down or stopped.
That's been a big part of it too. Yeah, I forgot about the truckers.
Yeah, so I guess do your research and see what of the things that you buy comes from Canada.
Our almond milk, it was a solid 2 weeks where there was no almond milk to be found. I was at the point where I was thinking about just buying some almonds, grinding them up, and putting together a recipe to make some almond milk myself because I could not find almond milk anywhere. So that's one. As soon as I saw some, what do we get? Like eight?
Eight.
Eight.
Mhm.
We have 8 cartons of almond milk in our refrigerator right now. What else? What are some of the things? We mentioned water, almond milk.
If you have a baby and you feed the baby formula, a lot of people are stocking up on that.
Man, plus the recalls too.
That
You
too.
got to think formula is tough to find right now.
Yes.
We actually were making baby formula for a little bit. You were breastfed for years, and there was a point where to help supplement, we were looking at some hemp seeds and bladder sea moss. I won't give up the. I'm not. I can't give up. Obviously, there was more. There was more ingredients that went into it, and you had to calculate more things. Maybe another episode we'll get into that. But it really just took me back when you mentioned that. I remember going through creating a little science lab in the kitchen of how to extract the right ratio of the to make it palatable for a baby. So yeah, I think there's a lot of mothers and fathers because I was out there too. There's a lot of mothers and fathers right now trying to figure that out. So yeah, you're right. Formula, diapers, pull-ups, wipes. Even made me want to grab things that we don't even eat. I'm like, hey, do we have eggs? Let's get some eggs. Like, let's get a loaf of bread. Like, I feel like back in the day, those were the things that I always remember hearing older people talk about. So I just want to get them. I don't even eat them, but it was just like, let's get eggs, let's get bread. It's like just to have, like, you can't go wrong if you have a refrigerator with some eggs and bread in it. Those are, I promise you, every time there's a blizzard or every time it's something, go to your store. You're gonna see somebody just like a whole bunch of eggs, a whole bunch of bread. It's like, what do you don't need all of that. I promise you. Some foods that we like that we started to stack up on seafood. Yeah, we've been stacking up on our fish. We've been stacking up on our seafood medley. So we've been mixing and matching with crab and mussels and shrimp and salmon, whiting, haddock, all of those things. Definitely stocked up on those. Back to the essentials. I want to get, cans of beans. I want the water. I want the flashlight. I have my backpack that I have some stuff in. Like, I want to be ready just in case. So think about that. I think my mind just goes to essential mode. If there's no refrigeration, if there's no stove, no gas, do we still have food that we can eat? And if so, for how long? So that's how I've been thinking. But just to take it back, it's one of my favorite segments of our show. What we're streaming. What are we watching? What are you watching?
We are watching Bel Air.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure many people have heard about it, but if you haven't, that's okay. It's a reimagining of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, a la Will Smith. He's the executive producer of this one.
It's a very dramatized reimagination of the Fresh Prince.
The original Fresh Prince of Bel Air was, of course, a comedy, but this is a new drama series, and they take every aspect of each of the characters and their situations and they tease it out. The Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Will Smith's character, was super cocky, and Bel Air also super cocky, and we see how that leads to very serious consequences. Puts him in a few different bad places. The original, Will Smith had to move away. He got in one little fight, and his mom got scared. Philadelphia. Then he moved with his uncle and auntie in Bel Air. And for those of you who are familiar, you might remember that line from, the opening song. This show, that whole scenario is very scary for the characters involved.
This could be your first time hearing about Bel Air, Fresh Prince. So as you mentioned, we have Will Smith. That's actually his character. It's funny that his name in real life is actually the same name of his character. So when we're saying Will Smith, it's an actor named Jabari Banks who's playing Will Smith. So he would be considered the lead role. We have Hillary, who's his cousin. He also has a cousin Carlton. He also has a cousin Ashley. Aunt Viv, Uncle Phil. They kept Jeffrey, the house manager, aka butler. Jazz, who is one of his best friends. And then we also had Trey, who was also one of his best friends. Lisa, who It's a little more reimagined. They built up a little more into her backstory in this. You might hold on to a dedicated episode just to kind of get more into the characters that at least we were more familiar with. There are some slight similarities, but then a lot more differences that I'm very much so looking forward to. And then with the cast, that one thing that they specifically did was to go against the whole idea of colorism, which came up on the original. I think it might have been season 3, original Fresh Prince, where they switched out on Viv's, and there was a line on the show where it was like, "You look different." Clearly, it was a different person, and the characters, Uncle Phil's character, Hillary, even Carlton to a degree, a lot of those characters were more lighter skinned characters. They wanted to make sure that they depicted a more darker skinned cast. So if we're kind of comparing the original to this, what are 3 things that you like more about this dramatized reimagination?
Well, Carlton's character is on 100 and some other substances within this reimagined show. It really took Carlton from the original series. His tragic flaw was like insecurity and snootiness. They took it and totally spun it. A person who's a teenager doesn't have all of their prefrontal cortex developed, all this sort of insecurity about body image, their peers at school, their standing within their family, all that comes crashing down on him, and he does some things and acts in some ways that are so detrimental. So his character is definitely like the most explosive character thus far. It's such a departure from Carlton from the original series. You won't see him doing the Carlton dance in this series.
Nah,
he's not that
he's
kind
dancing,
of guy, right?
but when he's dancing, he's letting them white boys around him get away with some craziness. We obviously can't say the words that they were saying on our channel, but they were doing the Bobby Shmurda dance and not the Carlton dance in this one. And it was wild.
Right. Yes. So that is the wildest respin that I've seen.
And it's still not clear what substance Carlton is using. I know they've mentioned, like Lisa has mentioned, that he had a lot of anxiety. So there's some theories that it's anxiety pills like Xanax. But then there's also fan theories that maybe people think it's Coke potentially mixed with the Xanax. I think it's prescription drugs that he's just chopped the pills and is sniffing. But either way, it's not a good look at all.
And then Jeffrey's character, who in the original series was the butler, he is titled the house manager in this show. You don't see this Jeffrey pick up a dish for anyone, but Uncle Phil has sent him on a few covert operations. So it seems like he's more of a security type of figure who also has a team of people working under him. Does the dirty work for the family.
I'm really impressed with and like the fact that they've leveled them up. Jazz on the original Fresh Prince of Bel Air was portrayed more as a bum, somebody who didn't have a pot to piss in, somebody who never looked like he was doing anything progressive, like he was living just to be a hang along the will. But in this reimagined version, they've bossed him up. He has his own driving service, he has his own business, his record store, and he's really solid in the community. Like he's a community figure that a lot of people come to when they're in a crunch and they need assistance. So it was nice seeing that spinoff on him. Hillary's character was really cool to see them level her up as somebody who has some skills, intelligence, and is doing her thing in the influencer world as well as in the cooking world. As far as storylines go, I like the fact that they're so authentic to Philly. When those first couple of episodes have me just saying John every day now.
Right.
They pumped so much Philly into this. They Freeway had a cameo in this.
Mhm.
Started the songs off with "What We Do Is Wrong," and then also first things first. Rest in peace, Uncle Phil. Once I heard that, I was like, "Yo, I'm." They had me. They
Mhm.
had me hooked just from that first episode.
And that first episode was the opening of such a great display of Black culture in a particular state and city. We really got an inside look on Philly culture, and that's another thing. This new show is it's current. So the other show took place in the
90s.
90s. So everything's current. All their references are what's going on right now.
Yeah, it seems like they specifically made sure to include every possible socio-economical issue that's happening, every issue that's going on politically, because Uncle Phil in this version is running for a political office. So a lot of the conversations have come up around defunding the police, also whether he's sold out or if he's still down with the community, what it does mean to be from the community and still be a part of it when you're like, but people think that you become like you're not real anymore once you become too successful. But even outside of that, conversations about sexuality are here. That wasn't in the original one. So I think there are some things that are more newer age concepts and ideas that colorism, like we mentioned, that weren't there before. Some of it I'm here for, some of it I'm not here for, but where I'm going on this ride, so we'll see. We have a couple more episodes until this wraps up. It's on Peacock. It's probably other places where you're streaming if you look at places where I look to find streaming if you're not paying premium prices. But yeah, it's on find it where you can find it. It's pretty good. I think it is a beautiful view of Black excellence. It is something that is nice to see. It is still a very strong Black couple that's married, successful. So it's a nice view of Black love. I love seeing the way that Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv really support each other and come in with each other when it comes down to it, whether it's giving advice for each other or trying to find ways to help build up each other's dreams. So it is nice to see that. They are trying to build some things into the storyline that could crack that foundation. That is one of the things I don't like that they're introducing. But just seeing the love that Uncle Phil has for Aunt Viv, I feel like they're gonna do whatever it takes to make sure that they fight for each other. So you can
Mhm.
already see that as soon as Uncle Phil sees something starting to happen, meeting up with Jeffrey, they're putting a plan together to make sure that there's nothing that can go against his family. And I can really connect with that. Just looking at your family and saying there's nothing that you wouldn't do to protect your family and trying to always have all of the different possibilities thought out to make sure that things are good, even if it's not something that is even visible now, just something that could potentially become something in the future. Just thinking about it like that.
It's beautiful to watch every single scene. And I look forward to it every single week. Yeah, I guess that pretty much wraps up our episode. Another big shout out to all the women, all the women listeners, and all the men who support them. Happy Women's History Month. And thank you so much for listening.
Please make sure to comment your top takeaways about the video. Thank you. This has been another episode of the Ali Family Podcast. If you haven't subscribed, this is a great time and just a great reminder to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you next time. Peace.